What is up, guys? It is the Bluebloods here, man, with our SWAC championship recap, baby, man. The spring football season for the SWAC has finally come to a close, and what a better way! I don't think there was any better way to end the season, man. This game was electric down in Jackson, Mississippi, and we saw the Alabama A&M Bulldogs win their first SWAC championship since 2006. The game was absolutely amazing, man. I just want to say this: down in Jackson, Mississippi, both teams came out swinging early, put on a show for everybody that was watching on ESPN2 all around the country. I know there were a few live streams, everything like that out there. So wherever you watched it, man, I hope it was a blast. And I just think this was such a great game. I love that it was on ESPN2, where the whole country could see this. Um, the only thing I would say is this. I want to know how y'all feel too. So let me know down in the comments. I would have absolutely loved to see this game at one of the two campuses rather than in Jackson, Mississippi. I do. I would like to see this game, even if it was in Jackson, without any COVID restrictions. Let the full bands come, let all the students come, let all the alumni come, everything like that. I feel like it lost a little bit of its luster in that area, but coming in, Alabama A&M was a 3-point favorite over Arkansas Pine-Bluff, who was aiming to win its first SWAC title since 2012. Connell Maynard, after the game, man, was an absolute delight, man. I love this coach, man. He is easily one of my favorite coaches in the country. After the game, they asked him about this. He said it was a great feeling, especially with COVID, all the adversity. We withstood it all. We didn't play our best offensively in the first half. Aqeel had to settle down, make some throws. You got to have a great quarterback. I've got one, and I'm reaping the awards. How much better than that? And then he does his best Ric Flair impression. Cracking, man, it was amazing. I can't get the video. I don't want to get copyrighted. It's ESPN has it. There's a long process to get those ESPN videos. So I'm not going to show it, but let me just say, go look up his Ric Flair impression, man. It was hysterical, and I promise you, you will not regret it. And so I want to look back. So to recap this game, I just want to say the main thing was by 3 areas of focus in my preview that you can catch on YouTube right now, in case you want to go back and double check me. I identified 3 areas of the game where I said this has to happen for each team to win, and the team that won these 3 phases of the game actually did win. My first thing was quarterback play. The quarterback that played the more outstanding game would win the game. Aqeel Glass did it again, another outstanding performance, 270 yards passing, guys, 3 touchdowns, an interception. And I think he showed a little bit of flair on the feet too. He didn't have a lot of rushing yards because he did get sacked 5 times. We'll come back to that later. But he showed some athleticism with his feet, especially on that big 3rd down late in the game that really put Alabama A&M over the top. This kid never fails to impress me, guys. I'm going to be honest. This is our first year covering SWAC football, and he has been by far the most impressive player that I have covered, especially on the offensive side of the ball. He shows certain things that coaches wish their quarterback had, but you can't teach it in a quarterback, if that makes sense. The kid has to come programmed like that. He has the confidence, the arm talent, the clutchness, the leadership that every successful QB has to have to excel at this level and the next level. And I think that's where Aqeel Glass, sets himself apart. We had the big storyline this weekend with the NFL draft. No HBCU kids drafted. It's a shame, man. And I feel like hopefully Dion and these boys and Aqeel Glass and a lot of these up and coming guys are going to break that narrative that HBCU players are less talented or less deserving than Power 5 players or anything like that, because I think there were some players that should have been drafted. And I definitely think Aqeel Glass is going to be one of those. There's some kids down in Jackson State. There's some kids out of Southern I really like. And I think as the recruiting picks up in the SWAC and the HBCUs, I think we're going to see more people drafted. But let's move on to the other side of the ball. Skylar Perry. he was a problem with his feet, to say the least. He's so dynamic running the ball as a quarterback. He had 70 yards rushing, but through the air, I mean, he was pretty accurate, 64%, which outperformed Aqeel Glass in that category, but really struggled with turnovers. 3 interceptions, only 1 passing touchdown, threw for, like I said, about 230 yards. He showed better accuracy. He has better mobility with his feet than Glass, but turning the ball over in a game like this is never going to win. I told y'all in the preview, if Aqeel Glass puts pressure on Perry to try to force balls, it forces him into making mistakes because he's trying to keep up with Glass, it's going to be a bad recipe for Arkansas Pine-Bluff, and it really was. Glass was the better QB coming into the game. He proved to the world that right now he might be the best quarterback in the SWAC. I think it should make Alabama A&M an immediate odds-on favorite for next season. I know Jackson State's returning a lot of talent. They got a lot of guys coming in. But right now, I mean, after you win the title, you got all these people coming back. You arguably have the best player in the SWAC. I think Alabama A&M cannot be looked over going into this fall season. The next factor I mentioned, though, guys, the rushing game. And, it looked like Pine Bluff kind of had an advantage there, but man, I don't know. I mean, the running backs needed to show up to take pressure off their quarterback. My X factor player, which I mentioned on the preview, was Gary Quarles. He delivered his best performance, in my opinion, of the season. About 70 yards rushing, 2 rushing touchdowns. This matched his output from the entire season. He only averaged about 3 yards per carry, though, but apparently he was showing enough activity for, Maynard to lean on him down the stretch. He got a lot of attempts, he performed well enough for the defense to play him honest, which I think opened up some things downfield for Glass, especially in the second half. The rushing game for Arkansas Pine-Bluff, though, atrocious, guys, to say the least. I know you look at the overall stats, and a lot of those yards come from Perry. But the lack of performance from their 2 leading rushers, I think, is really why this game kind of got out of hand for them. Mateus Clark, Omar Allen Jr. only combined for 10 carries for 9 yards, guys. They average less than a yard a carry. They need to take some pressure. They needed to take some pressure off of Skylar Perry. And they absolutely did not deliver a single bit of production. If there's 2 players I'm looking at, and I'm like, man, Arkansas Pine-Bluff needed them, it was these 2 guys to at least get me a combined 75 to 100 yards, and they didn't show up. This offense was Perry or bust, and that was never going to be a recipe for Arkansas Pine-Bluff to take this game. I told you guys the team that wins this rushing battle will win the game. Alabama A&M almost hit the 100-yard mark. Arkansas Pine-Bluff only rushed for about 85 yards. It's not a recipe to win. And I think this lack of run game is why you saw Perry kind of fall into some turnovers, because he had to force things down the field because he had no help. It was either he was going to run it or he was going to try to force it in somewhere with his arm. And that it was never, ever, ever, ever going to work like that for Arkansas Pine-Bluff. As soon as the run game was shut down by Alabama A&M, the game was over. I get it. It did kind of come down to the wire, but I think down the stretch you saw Alabama A&M kind of flex their muscles and show that they were probably the better team, especially in my opinion. And the last factor that I talked about was turnovers. Arkansas Pine-Bluff and also kind of Arkansas Pine-Bluff pressuring Aqeel Glass to slow him down, prevent him from dominating the game. The rush did get to him sometimes. 5 sacks on Glass. That's a pretty nice number, I would have to say. But they didn't get consistent pressure. Glass still had time in the pocket. Glass was able to get out of the pocket and make some plays with his legs. And it forced in the run game showing up, kind of made those pass rushers not be able to shoot right up the field. And that was the key. Yes, you're going to give up some sacks because Arkansas Pine-Bluff has some dogs at pass rusher. But as soon as that run game came, it forced them to hesitate just a bit. And I think Aqeel Glass was able to take advantage of that down the stretch. The first half was kind of like a good boxing match. They were feeling it out. We've seen this from Alabama A&M all year. Feel it out, feel it out, feel it out. Find your spot and then strike. And that's exactly what they did. Now, turnovers, this is really the key to the game for me. The turnovers favored Alabama A&M. 3 INTs they forced Perry into. Arkansas Pine-Bluff did have a forced somewhat INT. So you say 3-2. That's pretty even. I'm going to count this as a turnover, but right after Arkansas Pine-Bluff returned the fumble to the end zone, 33 yards, take a lead, they get their extra point blocked, which takes a point off the board, and it was returned for a touchdown, which puts 2 points on the board. That's a 3-point swing. I think that might be even more important than a turnover. So I'm chalking it up to 4-2 Alabama A&M. And when you're in a game like this, if you can't win the turnover battle, you're not going to win the game, especially when arguably, in my opinion, they weren't the best team coming into the game. If you're already the underdog, you have to play a more perfect game than your opponent. And I don't think they did that this weekend. And, for the season though, man, coming into the game, I looked at Alabama A&M and I said, man, they just have so much talent on that offensive side of the ball. Those wide receivers are dogs. That quarterback's a dog. The head coach has unwavering confidence. He's a dog. They got some dogs at linebacker. I was watching Off Script's pregame show, and a lot of people really seemed to think Aqeel Glass. Like, it kind of shocked me. I think there were a lot of people who think Aqeel Glass is the real deal. But there's also a lot of people that seem skeptical for me. And I really, if you're one of those people and you check out our channel, let me know what it is about Glass that you don't love. For me, I just see everything. I just see it in him. I think he's the next great quarterback that could make an NFL run coming out of the SWAC. And I know, we originally started covering just Jackson State. We've kind of morphed into like a fully SWAC coverage podcast. But next year, when I look at the QB rankings, I know Sanders is stepping up at, Jackson State. Alcorn State's firing back up. Right now, I don't think there's a close second to Aqeel Glass. I think he's better than Sanders as of right now because we haven't seen Sanders do it on this stage. I think he's better than any other quarterback that's coming back right now. I think Glass, for me, puts Alabama A&M into the catbird seat for the next season. And I love he talked about, Glass talked about legacy after the game. He said, coming into a game like this is all about leaving your legacy, and this is how they were going to leave it. So I know this is a spring season. Alcorn didn't play. Jackson State had a lot of players that weren't eligible. Do you guys give Alabama A&M their props this year, or do you think it could have a small asterisk next to it? For me, I'm giving them credit, but I want to see what the tone is around this, around the fandom of the SWAC. Do y'all put a small asterisk, or do you think they need to come into the fall and win it again? And if they do, what does that say about Maynard and what he's built at Alabama A&M? Now, I want you to comment. Tell me. We can go back and forth. You might have to go live this week with just like a SWAC season recap. Y'all tune in, comment below, and let me know what y'all think about just the overall season. We'll cover all the teams, do a way too early 2021 fall preview. But this game for me solidified Aqeel Glass legacy. I think it certified Kyle Maynard and what he's doing at Alabama A&M. I think it also solidified for me, guys, just the competitive nature of the SWAC. I think Alcorn would have been competitive this year. Grambling had a down year, but they're going to be back. Jackson State's going to be so much better this year. Southern is going to be Southern. Hey, I don't agree with their head coaching hire. We're going to cover that later this week, but they're going to be Southern. I think overall the SWAC in general is going to be so competitive coming into the fall that it could be anyone's race. And this game was amazing. I think the main takeaways here as I wrap this episode up is Perry tried to force some things. He had he had 3 interceptions this game, only had 3 the entire year. I think he was kind of overwhelmed going up against someone like Glass. Glass put on a show. I do want to see his accuracy get better. I've been so vocal about this. He only completed about 53% of his passes this weekend. I want to see that accuracy kind of bump up going into the fall season, but right now he's exactly where he needs to be. I thought the defense for Alabama A&M played amazing in the second half. I think we saw the true potential of what that team could have been with the proper offseason without COVID, I think they have a lot of potential going into the fall, especially at that linebacker spot. Now, for Arkansas Pine-Bluff, I think they're good. I just think they need something other than Perry. Not other than Perry. I think Perry needs some help, whether it be a few better wide receivers, which they have some dogs at wide receiver, but I don't think they're at the level they need to be to win a SWAC title. They also just need a true rushing attack. They need that go-to running back, whether they hit the transfer portal, they get a kid coming into the fall. I don't see a running back that's really going to take the workload off of Perry moving forward, and I think they're missing that. Also thought their defense played well. It's really hard to stop this passing attack, but the secondary could have been a bit more disciplined. We saw some PIs and things like that. So I think the main takeaway here is Alabama A&M, for my opinion at least, was the best team in the SWAC from start to finish. They win the title. Congratulations to Coach Maynard, Aqeel Glass, and that team. Arkansas Pine-Bluff had an amazing season. They fall just short. But guys, let me know in the comments. Did you predict this season? And one, did you predict this season? Two, do you put an asterisk by this at all? And three, what is your main takeaways from this game and from the spring season in the SWAC? Let me know in the comments, man. I can't wait. I'll probably even address some next episode as we break down the Southern coaching hire, and we're going to schedule some SWAC recaps for each team in the coming weeks. But, guys, I appreciate y'all's support, man. I appreciate y'all supporting the Blue Bloods, 2-minute drill, all that. This is officially our 2-minute drill episode for Monday, May 3rd, already in the month of May, man. We got our Pac-12 in 31 days starting this month. We're wrapping up tomorrow on Tuesday, our Big 12 in 30 days. We had some issues with the guests. We had to get them in late, but we're going to get them there from West Virginia, man. I'm looking forward to the interview. And we're starting our Pac-12 in 31 days Wednesday with an amazing interview, man. Can't wait to announce who that is. But, guys, we had our merch giveaway winners. I've already got in contact with a few people. I still need to get in contact with Sonic Boom C98 and Moses Sando, man. So if y'all tuned into this video, make sure to reach out to us. You can find our email on the YouTube page, or you can message us on any social media, man. Mine's here. You can also DM me personally. We want to get your size and address so we can get y'all's merch ASAP. But, guys, we're already at over 160 subscribers. Once we hit 200, we're doing another round of merch giveaways. 5 more people are going to be selected. And I already told y'all, the big goal is 1,000, man. We have a ridiculous giveaway. I know for a fact no channel on YouTube is going to do a giveaway bigger than us. So once we hit 500, I will announce that, man. So I'll keep y'all wondering, but I promise you it's going to be bigger and better than any giveaway any YouTube channel has done thus far. But, guys, make sure to go check out Undrafted Sports. This officially wrapped up our podcast of the week. So we appreciate any and all support y'all gave any of our undrafted teammates, man. But, guys, for myself, the 2-minute drill, and the Blue Bloods, we are out.